my strong-willed and talented daughter. I also want to thank Katie, who is my hero. I hate getting up in front of people and talk, and yet in my job I do it 3 or 4 times a week, and I've been doing it for years and years and years. And it was funny because I wanted to wait until Katie got here, and Katie pulls down in the driveway and says, "Oh, are you nervous? Here's a little trick I have." Like, I need tricks. I have so many tricks to get through this. And I've got 2 Lucky Stones from Maine, which are appropriate because Greer wrote her essay for Middlebury about Lucky Stones.
Yeah, be careful, they might fall out.
I've got a half of a knife and chain that Granddaddy had from World War II. Dylan took half of it to his Shipley election, lost it, but he won the race. I have a coin that Katie gave me, and I take it with me every time I have a speech. And on my card, I always write, every time I speak anywhere, I always write the same message. I can do all things through him that strengthens me. And then I write Katie Sampson underneath it. And I've been doing it for years. Every time I speak, I write her initials. So if I ever get nervous, I just look down, and I know I'm going to get through it. So now back to Greer. This is going to be good. Greer is strong-willed. She's stubborn. She's opinionated. And I lost my prop. You know what this is, Del? This is something, Greer, you know what it is, right?
Recycling?
It's recycling, exactly. You get it on a shirt when you get back from the dry cleaner. Now I understand when Greer races up to Daphne's office and comes down with a pile of magazines that Daphne's throwing in the trash. But Greer will pull one of these out of my trash can and go, "Dad, what are you doing throwing this away? That's recycling." She's tough, she's opinionated, she's focused. We went to look at Middlebury, and we went to the Vermont-made store. And it was a great trip. And I said, "You guys buy anything you want. I want anything you want." Greer's very frugal, too. So I think Greer came back with a little piece of maple candy. It was about 26 cents. Emma came back with a little sticker to put on her computer. I think it was 75 cents. Dylan came back with this box of candied nuts. Maybe one of the most costly decisions he's ever made in his life.
Lily.
Greer gave him the look. Bill, can you do the look? The lip curls. The head comes down a little bit. And it's, "Dylan, do you have any idea how expensive those nuts are?" I think they were maybe $12. I could hear the nuts shaking in the box. He was so scared. Eyes welling up, and he wanted to put it back. I go, "Dylan, I said get anything you want." He goes, "I don't want these at all." I said, "They're going to be great. We'll have them on salads." Now, Greer made a big stink with Daphne. We had an unpleasant moment when she learned we were catering. And Greer said, "No. We go, we're doing it. And then she said, "Well, I'm making the desserts at least." Anything to save a little, to be more frugal. And Greer, if you hadn't scared Dylan so much, we could have put those nuts on a salad. I don't know where the nuts are. Dylan's afraid to bring them out. He had the scariest 8-hour drive back from Vermont, and when he got home, he buried them somewhere. They're probably out by the stream, but we could have made salads tonight and saved a little more money. Another snapshot of Greer is she's been tutoring at Bryn Mawr Presbyterian Church, and every Sunday she goes with me and sits with me up in the upper deck at Bryn Mawr Pres, and I put in my envelopes for the offering in the offering plate. And I don't know, about 3 or 4 months ago, she started, in her bigger-than-life, I'm in charge, large in charge way, started taking the envelopes out of my pocket and writing "for tutoring," because she wanted to go to the tutoring program. And I said, "Greer, I don't really think I sign a pledge card. I'm not sure we should be doing this. She goes, I know, I've done all the research, it's fine, I just want to make sure your money's going towards the tutoring program, because I think the tutoring program is so important. And I thought it was cool because she has been very dedicated. She's done it for 4 years, and she's the representative for Radnor. She's got a lot of other people to do it. She's put in a lot of time. So I thought it was a neat idea until I got a bill from the church for my offering, because apparently as she wrote that, it canceled out my commitment to the offering. So now, little frugal pants there cost me an extra $500 or $600, which was classic Greer, and her response was classic as well. If we were in the Catholic Church, I think she would have gone right to the top and communicated with the Pope. But she says, I'm going to talk to the minister and we're going to get this thing straightened out. This year the church is going to get a little more from the Howard family, thanks to Greer. The last story I want to share is, I'm equally stubborn, and we had a rule that the kids could go out one night a weekend, but the other night they had to do something
Funny.
with the family. And I tell people, they were amazed I was able to pull this off. We were able to pull this off as long as we did, because I think it only broke down halfway through 11th grade. But up until that point, we'd go to a play, we'd go out for dinner, we'd do something. And the other night they could do whatever they wanted. And we could make exceptions if there was a good reason, but Greer that night did not have a good reason. She wanted to hang out with an old derelict friend of hers, and we were trying to discourage her, so we said, all right, it's still early, we're going to go to Hartford Friends, and we're going to do some feats of strength, and if you can win one of the feats of strength, you can go out. So it was Greer and Emma against Dylan and myself, and Dylan and me in soccer. And Greer was so furious that she didn't play. I said, Greer, I'm serious, you got to win this game. And all of a sudden, something snapped, and she got it. And she realized this was her one chance. But at that point, it was something like 8-0. So she started frothing at the mouth and playing like a mad woman, but it was just too late. And Dylan sort of kicked the winning one, and tears were in Greer's eyes, and she's panicking. I said, that's all right, we'll come up with another feat of strength. There's a rabbit over at Harvard College, and if you can catch the rabbit, now to be fair, it's not any rabbit. There's a lab rabbit over there. It's this big, plump rabbit. It can't go anywhere. We'd go over there, Greer and I would walk at night, and we'd see this thing. After dinner, we'd go walking at Harvard College, and we'd see this rabbit. And it's just a lump. So I threw her a bone. I mean, catch the docile, fat, plump, slow rabbit, and you can go out with your friend. So she's furious, but she knows she can catch it. Unfortunately, I think one of Dylan's favorite birds of prey had already caught that rabbit, so it wasn't there. And she's looking frantically, where is that lab rabbit? And then I got to hand it to Emma, because Emma would do anything for Greer. When Greer wanted to go up and visit you at college, I was adamant that she could not go. Nothing personal. I did not want that to happen. The two people, lots of people gave me their opinions, Daphne, etc. But two people broke me down. One was my mother, and the other was Emma, who 5-6 times a day was calling me, texting me, I don't even text, barraging me with pleas to let Greer go up and visit you. So you were lucky to have a sister who cares as much about you as Emma does. So we were walking over there looking for that fat rabbit that the vulture had taken off, the hawk had taken off. And Emma spotted a rabbit. And she said, there's one, after Greer had been frantically looking for that plump rabbit. She saw one. But it was not a lab rabbit, it was a hare. And Emma goes, I'll help you catch it. In classic Emma fashion, I will help you catch it. And Greer goes, no, that's my rabbit! Now, I'm sure people out on the frontier ate rabbit, but I think they got it out of traps. I don't think anyone has ever caught a hare on foot. But Greer gave it her best shot. So I tell these stories because I'm obviously making fun of Greer a little bit, but I think all of them also talk about what makes Greer so special. Because she obviously had enough impact and influence on Bill that he hid those nuts forever. But she also influences a lot of other people. in her role as one of the members and directors and leaders of community service at Radnor, and all the different activities you run as a captain, as a crew team. Whenever you focus, which is 99% of the time, on great things, not only do you do them, but you get other people to join you, which is a really powerful quality and an important quality. The scene about the church, obnoxious as it may have been, showed your commitment and your passion to the tutoring program. And I've been interviewing kids for Bowdoin ever since I graduated. And one of the things I always want to see is, I always want to find out as I'm talking to them, is they always have lots of activities, but I always want to find out, how involved are you in the activities? Is it something you did and they'll say, oh yeah, I was part of the community, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what did that entail? They go, well, we met once last year and we organized a party. Well, that's great. It's better that you did that as opposed to not doing that. But there's something to be said for someone who goes week after week after week after week, who practices as a captain year round. I remember early on telling Greer, I know you're doing a lot of things, but I think you should try and do some more. And I mentioned the Presbyterian Village. Maybe you could go down there, you could go on foot because you couldn't drive. And 4 years passed, I completely forgot about that conversation. And I was talking to Daphne, where's Greer? And she goes, she's over at the Presbyterian Village. And she's been doing that every week for 4 years, and I've never heard of it in 4 years, which is another great quality, to make the commitment and do it quietly. No one else know what you're doing, but to do good things and keep it to yourself and just let your actions speak for themselves. And the last thing, obviously, is that rabbit, because you will never catch a hare. And I think if you're going to do great things, you've got to be bold and daring. And you are, Greer. So now it's winding down. I'm so amazed that hasn't given me the signal.
He's got a hook in his hand.
And by the way, I want to thank all the Evans women, so Pat doesn't have to. I also want to thank the Dills and the McGinnises, because all of those genes came down and had an impact on who you are, Greer. I also want to just leave two final things. I think of Sunday afternoons in this house. There's sort of, Sundays have had a tradition, not the afternoons, but Greer and Emma both row, and there's sort of sounds I associate with Sundays, and sounds everyone probably associates just going down there. And there's the cowbells, and there's the cheering, go Radnor, and there's Daphne and Dylan, who have to at least once when they're rowing by and once when they're rowing back, yell, "We love you, Greer," which mortifies Greer. And Greer, I get news for you, it mortifies me just as much as it mortifies you. But the sound I think of for Sundays is when I come back and I'm either working on my computer or I'm catching up on the Phillies score, I hear faint music and a banging sound. Box jumping. And why is that so important, Dale?
It shows that she has a commitment to her team.
Shows she has a commitment to her team. It also shows how hard she works. Because box jumping is a box, and Greer does this exercise where she jumps on the box, jumps off the box, jumps on the box, jumps off the box, works on her conditioning, and does 100 of them. I don't know if I could do 5 or 10, but she does 100 of them. But she does them after the race. After she's done her race, she comes home and does the box jumping to give herself an edge for the next race. And one of the coolest things happened last Sunday, because it was the last race, maybe the last race she'll ever have, definitely the last race at Radnor. Came back from the Nationals, and I was feeling very nostalgic because I didn't know if I'd ever see her row again, and I've had so much fun watching Sydney and the rest of them row. It's such a phenomenal group of women, such a great team. And I was so choked up at your dinner the other night. I was wearing dark glasses and Yang Ming, struggling to hold it all together. But it was the last race ever, and I'm sitting watching the Phillies, and I hear that familiar sound of banging and clicking, and banging and clicking. And she was doing 100 of the box jumps, and I'm always saying to Dylan and Emma and Greer, it's that extra stuff